You're welcome, welcome. So I believe we'll have more people join us as we move on. So please, if you are here and you're on our WhatsApp community, kindly reach out to them and let them know that the training has started. It's 8 p.m. already, and we would not want to miss. We would not want to waste our time. It's 8 p.m. already. Want everybody to join in. Let them know we are live. So we are trying to wait for others. So while we wait, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Evelyn Ogundira. I am the community and the volunteer manager for TTT. For those of us that are joining and doesn't know what TTT means, TTT is train the trainer. So we are an organization looking after teachers' welfare support, um, train teachers professionally, personally, and we are more focused on African teachers. Yeah, we are that community that creates a safe place,
You like
safe
crying,
place for
Irish.
African teachers.
You like
Can you
crying,
hear
right?
me? Okay, so please, someone is talking. Oluwabumi, you were saying something. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Good
Good.
evening.
Yeah, good evening. All right, so while we wait for others, oh, sorry, do you want to say something?
No, 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 no. No.
Okay, so while we wait for others, kindly drop in the chat box your name and where you're joining us from. Your name, where you're joining us from. Let's do that quickly while we are trying to wait for others to join us. Your name, I'll be in the chat. I'll be cheering us on from here. Where are you joining us from? Sorry, my video is not on. I'm in a very dark place right now. Yeah, Nigeria, of course. So where I am is a place where there's no electricity, so I'm not able to put on my video so you could see my face. I'm so sorry about that. So I'm waiting for our chat, your name and where you are joining us from. The name where you're joining us from. So we have we have 10 participants here right now, and I believe we should be more than this. So please go to the chat, to our WhatsApp community, let them know we are live. The training is live. Yeah, okay, so I'm already getting messages. We have Oluwabumi joining from Adamawa State. Wow, that is a far place from where I am. So that's why I'm saying wow. So glad to be here to learn from everyone. We are so glad to have you to Oluwabumi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ibere Brown, joining from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Oh, those are my PH people. Welcome, Ibere. It's good to have you today in the room. So I'm waiting for more of us. I've only seen two chats and we have more than two people in the room. So please, if you have any complaint, anything you want to, any concern you want to raise, just check the participant list. You're going to see people with TTT on their name. We have Evelyn, that's myself. We have someone with TTT Obioma. You can always reach out to us for any of your complaints. We have Ima, and in front of her name there is a program manager, so she's always ready there to answer. Then we have our organization name or also, so you could always send a direct message to them. So I'm going to be reading from the chat now. We have okay, someone said good afternoon. Wow, so it's afternoon there in South Africa, right? So this person is saying good afternoon, colleagues. So I'm just going to skip your name because I'm not able to pronounce, but I'm going to pronounce the one I could. That's Maziko from South Africa. It's so good to have you here, Mazi. So good to have you from South Africa. Wow, so we are spreading our wings. We are really, really spreading our wings. It's so good to have someone from South Africa. And TTC. Good evening, Oyeronke from Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Nigeria. It's good to have you here, and I promise everyone it's going to be a swell time for us today. A really swell time for us today. I know a lot of us are having challenges with network. We could always just find a way to maybe switch internet or find a balance, please. Sorry, we'll get better with network in our country very soon. All right. Let's keep it coming. It's 8:05 already. It's 8:05 already.
Pretty good. Oh, she looks familiar. Oh.
No, I will know her. Give me please.
Oh, the word I'm
All right, so please mute your mic if you are not speaking. Thank you. Kindly mute your mic if you are not speaking. Thank you. So let's keep it coming. Your name and your location in the chat box. John from Kaduna. Thank you. I don't know if it's morning they greet Nakwana, or is it morning or evening? So I don't know how they greet it greet in the evening, but I'm greeting you here from Ibadan, Oyo State. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to have you. I wish I could see our faces, but I just doubt if network would allow us. But the few people I'm seeing their faces, I'm seeing Tiwalewa's face, and I really wish you could just tell us where you're connecting from. You're already smiling.
Um,
Okay,
Connecting from Lagos, Nigeria.
Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you. Thank you for connecting. I've not heard from Becky. A lot of us have not really introduced ourselves. So please let's do that in the chat bar. Diana, I've not heard from you. Vincent, I've not heard from you. Diana, could you please mute your mic if you're not talking? Thank you. I see we are all ready and set for today's session. The way Oluwabumi is really looking at the screen is like, just bring it on. I'm ready. Bring it on, please. I'm ready. So yes, we're going to bring it on. Don't worry. Calm down. We are fully, fully ready for you. In fact, Walewa is so ready, so super ready. It seems just sitting on our sheets. Don't worry, our speaker is also very ready for us. She's loaded. And today we're going to be diving into integrating technology into African classrooms. And a lot of times we had different stories about how it can be taxing, how it can be difficult having technology in African classroom, right? So I just want to ask a quick question, which could be like an icebreaker for us. If you have opportunity um to develop a programming like an AI or anything when using technology, what solution do you think you would develop or create that technology to solve? I don't know if you get that question, but let me put it very well. So if you have an opportunity to create a technology, either an AI or maybe a computer or a system, something using technology, what solution in the education sector would you use that particular technology to solve?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Okay. It's even interesting to know that there was a time I worked for a company that created a model for schools to integrate technology into the classroom, where um, the, the 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 teacher used I can't remember the app he used, but the kids rapidly learned, like the level of concentration was really high. So I would love to create something that the kids will be able to relate with. And definitely once everything is put in place, it will come out perfectly well.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. I think I've also seen something like that. I've seen an organization produce a technology for a rural community, and that was the year we're fighting COVID. That was 2019. And this particular technology wasn't going to use any internet, but they had all learning resources inside that technology. So it was just, there was no internet. It's not like you are going to connect it to a Wi-Fi or anything. All you need to do is, it has a very strong power capacity. Once it's charged, the student in the rural community can easily connect to that device using no internet and have access to any learning resources they need to. And I think I really love that, right? I really do love that. So does anybody want to tell us what other solution they would like to create using technology? If they have that opportunity, if you have that capacity to develop a technological tool, what solution do you think you will be able to create? I'm seeing Oluwabumi, and I really think I wish I think I want you to talk, right? So Oluwabumi, can you say something?
Had to evening to everyone. Yeah, if I had to develop an app using AI or any other kind of technology to solve a particular problem in my classroom, what would it be? You just mentioned one that was occurring to me. Developing an app where my students can actually connect to the device with or without internet, because we know that access to internet is a huge problem for us in this part of the world. So if we really want to improve or you want to promote the use of digital or integrate digital tools in our classroom, there is need for us to find a way around internet accessibility. So in linking with what you just said about someone who created a kind of app that has resources for the subjects needed in the rural area. Of course, subjects for rural area, rural students. I would want to go for that because it's a need. But I'll keep thinking. You've given me something to think about. You've given me something to think about. Yes. Thank you for the challenge. But in the
Mm.
meantime, I think I will want to create an app where my students will be able to access resources, not necessarily academic-based resources, but other kinds of information, media literacy, global citizenship, SDGs, with or without, the use of internet. So that is what I'd like to do while I think of other solutions. Thank you.
I really love that. I love that you took that as a challenge. Yeah, so it's something we should actually think about. It's something that, so wherever we are, I feel we should always think about what solution can I provide there. Uh, what can I turn around in this place? So we need to have that creative mindset. And when we always think like that, it helps us to always want to create solution to something, especially as a teacher. So you're always looking at, so what problem is, or what challenges are my learners facing? What challenges are my students facing? And how can I create solution to this? So how can I bring an innovative idea into my classroom? And this is one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. I know it's like I said the other time, when it comes to African classroom, most times there is a mentality we have about technology, and there is a limitations when it comes to technology. There are a lot of limitations when it comes to technology. And that is why we do not just put in the classrooms. So we said African classroom so that you understand the where we are coming from. You understand the concept we are coming from. Yeah, thank you so much, Olabumi. Thank you for everyone. So our speaker is right here, and I've seen a video turn on. So beautiful, elegant. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm going to be calling on Dr. Kashi now to take over the session. Thank you. Well, welcome, ma.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I hope you've had a good day today and a good week. Good to see. Mumi, I like your background. I was just saying that in the chat. So, yeah, well done. Good evening, everyone. We've already spent time and we have little or no time. There's so much to cover. We have so much ground to cover. So I want to welcome you first for this session today. I want to see some expressions in the comment section so that I know whether to move or whether I should retreat. Should I go forward or should I move back? Which one? Let me know. Let me know if I should go forward or move back. Please proceed. Okay. Any other person, or I should just, carry my load and be going this night? Should I just go? Or should I proceed? Okay. Okay. Good evening. Good evening. So we're going to go through a few things, just a few housekeeping rules first. So if you want to ask any questions, use the chat, or you can wait till the end of the session to ask your questions. Okay? So that's the first thing. Please make sure your mics are muted as much as possible, just so that it doesn't interrupt what we have to do this evening. And yes, if you want me to explain something again, keep it till the end of the session. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Dr. Kachi, and I'm really excited to teach you this evening. I'm very excited about the work teachers do. I can't take away my journey. I can't talk about my journey without talking about my teachers. So whether it's parents or teachers in school, I know that teachers play such a huge role in our lives. And I really just want to thank you for the work you do. Like I always say to teachers that I meet, you're not in a thankless service. And so even if the schools don't appreciate you, even if your parents don't appreciate you, just know that you're shaping lives and they're kind to you. Posterity will be kind to you. Okay, can everyone still hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. So posterity will be kind to you because not many people can do what you're doing. I know how parents beat themselves up when it's holiday period. They're like, it's holiday. What am I going to do with the children? And if you are the teachers summit in October last, things we looked at was that teachers are actually one of the people not paid well. But I want to repeat it again this night that posterity will judge you kindly. And that when you go in to teach a child, don't just think that after all, that's the only job available. Think of something that has a virtuous cycle, that the person you train today has the potential to come back tomorrow to do something good in society, even for you. Okay? And I'm a product of teachers. That's why I'm here. So I just want to welcome you. I'm happy to see so many people, 28 people on the call. Hopefully more people join. I will go as quickly as possible because I'm also aware it's a Saturday. Yeah. Okay, so let me know if you can see my screen. I'll be asking questions. Use the comment section to interact. And if we have time, we're going to go for a breakout room session. Okay, so I'll just share my screen and let me know. Another thing I want to mention is that a lot of the resources that we're going to share, I like us to usually segment what we do and the different people that we cater for. So we want to make sure that it is relevant. So if people have not registered and you're here, there's still an opportunity for you to register using the same link. So Evelyn or Ima, you can drop it in the in the comment section so that people can register and they can actually get the resources that we'll be sharing after this session. Okay, I'm going to share my slide. Let me know if you can see. For some reason, I'm not seeing it. Okay. Can you see my screen? Let me know if you can see. With a head nod or a thumbs up, something, just let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see? Someone let me know so that I'm sure that I'm sharing the right. Yes, okay, good. Okay, what does it mean to integrate technology into African classrooms? Now, this is a very big thing, and I see that a lot of people have become, really obsessed with things like ChatGPT or devices. But one of the things that I want you to leave this session with is that technology is not about the devices, it's about your way of thinking. That's the first starting point, is the way you think. Okay, and you have to be conscious. Now, why are we introducing this? Because many people are so focused on rote learning, making sure that students are memorizing and cramming things. However, they're not thinking about the broader work environment. When we think about things like AI coming into place, AI is not here to replace what you're doing. Those who know how to use AI or those who know how to augment whatever they're doing with AI or technology are the people who would really win in these times. Okay? So I want you to have that at the back of your mind. And the reason we've made this really context specific is because Nigeria and African countries have significant issues. Like, I don't know who spoke earlier, but she was talking about the light, the internet challenge. And then another one, light. There's no light where I am. So these are practical challenges that we're going through every single day. How is it that you actually train your students, whether you're teaching biology, whether you're teaching computer science? How can you actually, someone has to mute their mics, please. How can you make sure that what you're doing is context relevant? And how can you make sure that you're actually preparing your students for the future of work? The future of work means that you're making sure that the skills required for your students, you have actually started putting it into them. And if you're an educator or a school owner or school proprietor on this call, one of the things that will be your biggest selling points is being able to say to parents that we are not just teaching your children 1+1. You're able to map, show them what that 1+1 means for them in terms of the broader work environment. Okay, so we're going to go through quite a number of things. You can see my screen is quite full, so we're going to go through quite a number of things. The first thing I want us to look at is redefining technology integration. Technology is not just about having devices, the latest device, the latest iPad. That's not what technology is. It's about your thinking, your state of mind, and being able to understand your local context. Now, the reason I have started with this and to paste this is so that whoever, at whatever stage, can adapt what we're doing in this session. Okay, sorry, people need to mute because it's quite distracting. Okay, so that people know that they can find themselves in any of these stages. So don't just think about technology about, when it comes to devices, or think about it when it comes to tools. So start thinking about your classroom, or start thinking about the schools your children are in, and think about the local context. So maybe people are still using whiteboards or blackboards, whatever it is. But there's something in that links up to technology. Now, in our WhatsApp group a few weeks ago, we had this teacher, Ronke, and I hope she's on this call. She shared something with us. She said she was teaching her students dance so that, just to make sure that they were not disruptive and things like that. And I found that very interesting. People will look at it as dance, but there were so many skills that we highlighted in the process. And so being able to look at the mundane everyday activities, even swinging arms, march past. When I went to school, we used to do morning assembly every day. And then after that, you see people swinging their arms, after the assembly. All those songs they used to sing, I can't remember any now. But people will be swinging their arms. All of those things, what does it mean? Before your right hand goes, maybe the left one has to go. Before your right leg goes, the left one has to go. Do you see? That is synchronous movement. And that's the same thing. The devices that you use go through one after the other, sequential order. So it's not just, don't think about this thing as abstract. Okay? Okay, let's look at some of the assumptions. So one key assumption. One key assumption is that African classrooms without modern technology cannot prepare students for the digital future. And I don't agree with that because I believe that there are so many things that have really or that can really shape our reality. Sorry, someone needs to be, I find it very distracting. 1 second, we'll just wait for that person to mute. Yeah. The reality is that we've all been thinking computationally even before computers. We've been thinking about it. When people were going to the farm and planting corn and cassava and all those things, there's an aspect of computational thinking there. We've also been thinking about pattern recognition, even in African games. And if you think about what we did, I think back to my home economics class in JES 2, when we had to take tie and dye material, put the dye, blah, blah, and tie it in such a way that we had different patterns. That speaks to pattern recognition. Indigenous materials, the things that you find around you, the brooms in your classes, they're actually teaching tools, technology teaching tools. So everyone has a place, in this technology sphere. Okay. And you can begin to teach your students about technology based on what you have available. Not every school, and maybe even our government is not ready to arm teachers or arm schools or provide the resources that are needed. So, what do you have in your hands? And as I talk about it, I want you to think, what do I have in my hands? When I go back to school on Monday, what class would I be going into? And how can I change what I currently have or use what I currently have and map it to a digital context? Okay? Now, there's a new perspective I want you to embrace, that technology is beyond devices. I've mentioned that. And when we think about integrating technology in our classrooms, we have to think about technological thinking is a state of mind. Okay? We've been using technology through these materials that we have, through stones. I learned counting using, there was this thing they call ube seed. I don't know what to call it, but we had these small, small seeds and I used to count with them. Digital tools are simply the newest expression of technological thinking. So don't think that you don't have anything in your hand or in your classroom and you're waiting till the government or the school provides you with a computer. And you can begin technology integration even without having digital access, even without having internet access, even without having power. Okay, so I want to pause here and just, have a pulse check from you. How are you feeling before we start going deep into things? How are you feeling? Quickly let me know. How are you feeling? I'm looking into the comment section. Can technology be taught orally, theoretically? Okay, that's a good question, and I'll answer that. What do you have in your hands? How are you feeling? Let me know. Is it making a little sense? You're curious, okay? Okay. Bumi? Curious and excited. So I'll go on. I want you to just have a simple mental picture. Very simple mental picture. Don't overcomplicate things of your classroom. What does it look like? From when you enter the class, what does it look like? What do you have? Chairs arranged. Yeah, you have your whiteboard or blackboard. What else do you have? Maybe brooms. I'm thinking back to when I went to school. Brooms in one corner of the classroom. Okay. What else do you have in your class? Charts. Good. What else? Basic arrangement, picture charts. All of these things. Books, you have books. Now, let me just quickly speak to books. Anytime you think about books, ask yourself, how am I even organizing the books in my class? Do I organize them by subject area? Do I organize them by color? How do I organize them? Organization is a key technological skill. Okay, someone needs to mute this. I'm sorry, I'll keep saying this just so that I can carry on. Please just check if you're muted, okay? Okay, I'll go on. You have shelves, and shelves are there for you to order things. Order. Whenever you think about technology, whenever you think of computer science, think about order. When you look at your phone, for instance, what happens? I can't just, there's something that happens with my phone, and there's something that happens with your phone. Okay, now it's locked. For me to open it, I have to put my password. Order. That's technology. So you have a bookshelf. Arrangement. One thing proceeds to the other. We need to understand it in that light. Okay, quickly, let's go to the next one. Why do we need technology in African classrooms? And when I was preparing this, I was thinking like, why? Why? It's becoming more and more important that even teachers who don't have access to the modern day technological resources or technology resources can actually say, I am incorporating technology in my teaching or technology concepts in my teaching. So, large number of African teachers want to use tech, but they feel underprepared. And that's one of the things that we're going to tackle in this session. Basic or single device setups can significantly boost engagement and outcomes. But what if we don't have those things? We have our local realities or challenges, no power, no internet coverage. Those are normal things. But we need to make sure that we're not just teaching children to pass from primary 1 to 2 or from primary 2 to 3 or give them double promotion. We need to make sure that we're preparing students for the future of work. What does that mean? That means that the key skills required to thrive in any modern workplace, you are arming your students or children with them. Okay? And the future of work demands technology thinking, regardless of field. So you can't tell me that, after all, I'm not a computer science teacher. I'm not a math teacher. Why do I need to be thinking about this? Whether you're a biology teacher, you're teaching in commerce, you're teaching home economics, you need to start thinking about how the everyday activities map to technology frameworks. That's another thing I'm going to say. If you didn't sign up, please put the link again so that we can actually share. Okay? Share the resources for this. Now, another thing is that you need to understand the statistics and evidence backing this up. Teachers that receive context-appropriate technology training see 37% more effective classroom implementation. And sometimes the reason students are not paying attention to you or they don't feel that what they're learning is relevant is because they can't map what you're teaching them to the wider context. We had this debate a few weeks ago in the WhatsApp group. One of the things that came up, should students be given assignment or homework? Something like that. What is that homework doing for them? What is it reinforcing? What is it teaching them? What skills are they developing in the process? Okay, so each time you think of those things, anytime you want to give your children an activity to do, ask yourself, stop. Am I regurgitating what people have done before me? Am I just giving them notes to copy? If it is not mapping them to where we're headed as a people and, as a people globally, then you have to rethink. You have to stop and rethink. Okay? Now, students learn computational thinking through culturally relevant materials. And this was from the University of Cape Town. So you can't start telling a child about programming if they can't see it from their day-to-day activities. I can't just bring a computer. When I went to school, we had this computer room, and we used to take it in turns to go to class and to the computer room. Sometimes it was even out of bounds because it looked like it was a really big thing. I want you to break down this thing that really looks big, looks mystical, to see this thing. There's nothing. It's as simple as your pencil. It's as simple as your cleaner. I want you to break it down for them that easily. So you use what you have to explain technology to them. Now, the third one is that technology concepts should be taught through familiar cultural contexts. If you're in a rural setting or you have the opportunity to work with people in rural settings, you need to start looking at what they have. I know that some schools send children to go and, plant yam or plant, those planting things that they used to do. Now start asking them, when you plant, I know that we used to they'll tell us, go and plant bean seed. You plant bean seed. They'll say, water it, expose it to sunlight, photosynthesis, all those plenty things. And the reason many people now come out of school and can't understand why they went to school is because we've not been able to say to them, all these things you're doing to school, this is where it is leading you to. They're not going to be doing all those theoretical things, but it is how the theoretical can apply to the contextual and then map to the real world. Does that make sense? All the things you're telling them to do, what does it map to? Okay. Sorry, my slides have gone faster than me. Okay. Now, I want you to think about this. Whenever you think about technology integration, sorry, somebody has to mute them. Can someone help me mute whoever it is? Whenever you think about the technology integration spectrum, you need to think about 4 key things. Like I said, what is in your classroom? What is in your school? That's the indigenous materials. So things like stone. I use stone to learn addition and subtraction. The other day, my 5-year-old came to me and he said I should come and add for him. I said, let me look for beans. I was looking for beans in my kitchen and I was using it for him. Okay? Bottle caps. I use counter. You know what we call counter back at home? Bottle, Coke, is it the Coke or whatever they call it? Bottle caps. Those are example of things, and you can think of more examples. Sticks. I use sticks. And I remember when I was learning tens and units, I would take 10 sticks. They would take 10 sticks. They would tie each round. Yeah? Then all of that. Seeds. I just mentioned beans. Textiles. Stop underrating your adire. Tie and die. Don't underrate it again. That's a good teaching tool. It's so important for pattern recognition. Okay? Udara seeds. Yes. Udara. Now, when you think of the indigenous materials you have in your class or around you, even if you're a parent here and you're trying to do homework with your child, think about how it relates to simple digital things. So your basic phone features, downloaded content, offline resources. Okay, think about basic devices. You can have your shared tablets, intermittent internet connectivity, and then your connected resources. For instance, reliable devices, consistent connectivity. The spectrum means that you can move from indigenous to connected resources. That's the way it works. You can move from, like someone said, the known to the unknown. Okay, so this is how you build on each stage. And the good thing about it is that everything at this stage fosters technological thinking, and a teacher can jump in when they can. But for anybody who is just starting out and trying to embrace, before you start thinking of Python programming, we're still going to enter that one, or R, but we're not entering it today. Before we start thinking of this, we start with these indigenous materials. Okay, let's move on. My slides are frozen. Okay. Now, some of the things that you need to think about is that there are universal concepts that are beyond tools. Anytime you're thinking about technology thinking, think about computational thinking, think about pattern recognition, think about algorithms, think about decomposing things, taking from very big to small, think about abstraction, abstract concepts, and think about logical reasoning. All of these things I have said, they fit into AI. This AI that everybody's talking about, they fit into it. Okay? Now, we developed a 4T framework, and this is the approach teachers should take to developing or integrating technology. So the first thing is that you try out, start small, use what you have. Then you tailor it to your local context. Tailoring it to your local context can be based on the learner's needs, the classes you're teaching, the particular location. Because what may be available in the North or in South Africa may not be available in Nigeria. Then train, share with colleagues. I think one of the things that really encourages insular thinking is when we work in silos. By the time you take something and you've tried udara seeds, for instance, and you've used it to introduce a technology concept, I will still show you the examples. Share it with your colleague. Let them replicate that same thing that you did. Then track it. And I'll explain why this 4T framework is very powerful. Many of the frameworks out there, there's so many frameworks out there, they do not take into consideration the African context. There's such a focus on what is available here that they're not really taking into consideration our unique, our unique context, the things that we have access to and the things we don't have access to. Okay? Now, this is how to apply the TTT or 4T framework. Sorry, someone has to mute. Okay. So the first thing is to try out. Yes. The first thing is to try out. So use bottle caps to represent Boolean logic. So please, can someone mute? It's quite distracting for me. Yeah. Okay. Try out. The tryout stage is that you use what you have to represent Boolean logic. What does that mean? Boolean logic is simple, yes or no. If I imagine that this is okay. Someone is muting me because they're trying to mute everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. Imagine that these are bottle covers. Coke, I think Coke has red, Abby. Then Coke is red. I think so. And then Sprite is green. Do you know you can say to explain Boolean logic, not just yes, no, and all those diagrams they used to give us to draw in uni and even in secondary school. If something is red, then give it the score 1. If it is green, give it 0. That's Boolean logic. And computers, technology is dependent on that. Also use it for true or false concepts. Now, the tailor stage is to adapt, maybe like these caps or stones, whatever it is, to represent local number concepts, which I've just explained. Then you train. The training stage is teaching colleagues how to use traditional games for algorithm thinking. This is how algorithms are formed. This is how flowcharts are formed. If then else. We hear those things, if then else concepts. And then track. So you're documenting student engagement and how they comprehend that thing. So let's think about all the books that we have, so many big books speaking plenty grammar, and say, how do I start to tailor these things, to my unique context? Let me say this again. When it comes to training and tracking, you are responsible. Do not think that it is the school that has that responsibility. Place a lot of social agency on yourself. See, one of the most difficult forms of governance is self-governance, but you want to grow. You're complaining the system is not growing and you haven't taken, you're not taking any leadership responsibility. Okay? So these activities develop the same computational thinking as digital approaches. Okay. So this 40 is specific to TTT. We've had it trademarked, so you can't just use it without telling us. Now we have what we call the scale framework. Scale framework makes you look at 5 things. Situational assessment. That is that you're looking at the available resources and the constraints that you have. That's why when you're developing your lesson plan, when you're developing your lesson notes, you need to have a section in your lesson plan for what is unique in my context? What resources do I have? And what are my constraints? If you don't understand that, you can't really deliver a lecture that really prepares these children. Yes, they may be passing. Let's leave passing. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that if you look at what you have in terms of your available resources and you look at the constraints, you can easily say, let me switch things up. Since I don't have this, I'm going to alternate. I'm going to bring in another tool or whatever it is, another resource. C is for contextual adaptation. So you're actually localizing your notes or your plans to the curriculum realities, cultural and curriculum realities. The A is looking at access-focused design. This is a big one, especially because this month is Disability Awareness Month. You need to understand, and during the vision board session we had in January, we talked about understanding your learners. Okay, so what kind of things if I have someone that is deaf and dumb in my class, or who is hard at hearing, how is it I have adapted my learning for him? Then there's learning-centered implementation. So your focus is not on we don't have technology or we have technology. Your focus is on the pedagogy. What am I teaching? Okay? And then E is making sure that you start small and build progressively. Remember the TTT thing and then the scale framework. Let me know if I still have everybody following me. I'm going very quickly. Are you still following? Is it making sense? I can also just go now because we can call it a day. You're following. Yes, okay. Okay. This is the same thing. Whenever you're thinking about it, even when you want to give feedback to parents, when parents ask you, how do I help my child? Think about it in this way. Tell them, get things in your kitchen, get things around you, and use that to teach. Now, we have some Western traditional methods. The Western ones, we have the SAMR. You can look it up. Is the substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. We have TPAC. How can you share the meeting? 1 second. I think we have the link. 1 second. Evelyn, can you post the link, or Emma, can you post the link to this Zoom session? Can you post the link to the Zoom session so that people can share? Okay. We also have what we call TPAC. TPAC is Technology Pedagogical Content Knowledge. Then we have TEAM, which is the Technology Integration Matrix. These are all good frameworks, but the thing missing from them is not taking into consideration the African context. And we have PCRAT, very popular, Passive, Interactive, Creative, Replace, Amplify, Transform. Those are, you can go and read them up. Okay? So what we have done is to understand all of these frameworks and models and then see what is missing. How do 40 and the scale framework work together? Let me show you. What we did was to look at tryout. Remember, that's the first stage. So it correlates with the situational assessment. That means you can be doing either or you can use a combination of both. Okay, so tryout is looking at the situational assessment. Then you're looking at tailor. Tailor is aligning with contextual adaptation. Okay, and then we have train. Train is supporting access-focused design and learning-centered implementation. And then we have track. Track is looking into expandable growth path. Okay, so all of these things, you can combine it, and this will really help you. So while the 40 is focused on the teacher, the scale is focused on your environment and the resources that you have available. Combine both of them is very powerful. I'll show you how to combine this. Now, we have symbols, particular symbols. If you don't know, we have symbols that we use in Africa. So we have plus, which looks like the unity symbol. We have X, which is for wisdom. We have strength. What does this represent? When you have visual elements with defined meanings, you can actually combine them to create complex messages. So for instance, when you think about technology, you're thinking about when a program starts, if condition, then, repeat until. These are basic computer terms. So these are visual programming blocks. You have this, we used to call it, is it Sue or something? I tried to just find the Sue, I don't know. Again, this is for algorithm decision tree. You know, when you're playing it, you don't want the person to put all the seeds into one, or you count 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. Those are decision trees. Even your normal chess, before you take my king or my queen, we're both scheming. Those are decision trees. And then you have your kente, which is for pattern recognition. 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, all those things. Those are ayo. Is ayo. In fact, even that I used to play one a lot that you do. Is it testing? 1, 2. You'll be shaking with your leg. You'll be chasing seeds or something. I can't remember what it is. It Sue? Maybe Sue. And Tempe. When I'm playing Tempe, I never want. No, you can't win me. You're a joker. You can't. Because I'll be like, this person wants to open and close or whatever. Left leg and right leg. Those things are decision making. So you need to let the children know that even in their day-to-day play, this is what they are doing. And this is how you're arming them. Square. I think it was, so I can't remember, you say resting 1, 2. Something like that, yeah. So I want you to think about the indigenous materials, as technology tools. If you think about drums, there's data encoding, communication protocols. As somebody is beating, or even those for national anthem, might be that one. Communication protocols, information compression. You think about your stones or pebbles, data representation, sorting algorithms, pattern recognition. You think about your bottle caps, Boolean logic, binary operations, and remember that computers only understand yes or no, binary logic. That's what they get. State representation. Something can only be off or on. It can, something cannot be off and on at the same time. That's how you explain states to people. Sticks, structural algorithm, measurement system, spatial representation, seeds or grain, your beans, your rice, whatever, classification systems, data organization. For instance, if you tell children to sort beans from rice, what would that's a sorting activity. That's a classification system in place. Okay? Okay, I'm going really quickly. So let's look at some of the common challenges we have. If you look, like when we mentioned this at the beginning, we said no digital access for some people. So you need to start thinking, what are the systems I have in place? What are the resources I have in place? Okay? Then you think about the community knowledge that community knowledge systems that can actually be foundations for technology in your school. How can you use this? You start to look for areas where students lack access. You don't have computer, but you have stones, you have wood, you have water. All of those things. If you've not, in fact, you need to get the registration link so that you get the resource. For those with limited or intermittent access, you need to think about how can I, pre-download content. There is no way you go to school, you now start thinking of how you download it. How can you pre-download them? Okay, so you obviously there's solar chargers and all of those things, battery optimization. You have your power banks. You can do that. And for those with limited access or limited access, internet access settings, you need to think about how you can combine your indigenous tools with your digital tools. Okay. Now, another challenge that most teachers face is confidence. So start with the familiar first before you start looking at digital tools. Start with what you have. Government is not going to solve all our problems. NGOs will not solve them. The WhatsApp group is there. There's a lot of learning going on there. There's peer coaching, and I think our program manager and community manager are very, very active. Anybody spots a problem or is going through anything, there's a support system in place. Okay, this also gives you an opportunity to say, look at what I have. I don't even know how to teach this topic. That's why the WhatsApp group is there. And we can all jump in and give you ideas. Okay? For those who have significant time constraints, think about having short text segments and then rotate what you have. That's how we're really going to get into this AI world. We have another teaching session coming up, not today, but maybe towards the end of the month, on really taking AI and implementing as well. Okay, now I want you to think about how to prepare your students for the future of work. This is a big one. How do you prepare your students for the future of work? Let's look at it. My screen is frozen. So maybe it wants me to ask you how you're feeling. Yes, I'm just seeing Dina's comment. We have a lot of technology in our lives. Yeah. Can you beg my slide to go? Okay. You're feeling loaded. So when you're thinking of preparing your students for the future of work, please, I want you to take note of these 5 areas. The first one is computational thinking. Go back, even after this session today and even tomorrow. You may be a biology teacher. Ask yourself, how can I make sure that I'm teaching my students in a way that I get them to computationally think, not just getting them to draw the diagram of the heart. Data literacy is another thing that you need to make sure that your students your lectures are armed with. Take indigenous materials and develop data literacy, the skill of data literacy. When it comes to creativity and innovation, again, the same thing. These are the areas you need to start developing your students in. We haven't talked about the soft side of things because the soft skills are another area you need to prepare your students for the future of work with. Collaboration and communication, very, very big one. When you get students to work on a project together, if you're an agri teacher, you say, I want you people to plant this, whatever in your pots. That's collaborative work. In any work environment, people want to look at how you collaborate. Nobody is going to remember all the other things. Did you learn this too? Blah, blah, blah. Many times your soft skills is what will keep you there. Is what will keep those children there. Not just the technical skills. Collaboration, communication, negotiation. I didn't like it when they gave me group work in school. I never liked it. Because many times people abandoned the group work and I will now end up doing it. I remember one time I had a burst out and I was like, I'm the only one that has done this thing. No other person did it. But in retrospect, that was wrong. Because the essence of putting me together with a team was to pull everybody and not for me to do it alone. And so you have to take away this, take away from your students this, will I call it hero mindset. Let them know that collaboration is key. We see it in the workplace now. People don't know how to collaborate. They don't know how to, and I don't even need to know who did what work. Because they know how to negotiate. They know how to communicate. These are the things that are needed at work. And then adaptive thinking. Remember when I said, if you're preparing your lecture slides or your lecture notes and you see that you don't have a particular resource, you may say, what can I swap? That's adaptive. And if you do not program that into your students as well, there's a problem. Okay, your biro is not working. Can you use a pencil? Yeah? Okay. I want you to think about another thing. Sorry, I just have people coming in. And when you think about future-ready skills, think about this. A future-ready skill is computational thinking, right? Think about what's that thing? That thing you drop seed, the Mancala game. Think about stone pattern. On your blackboard, you'll be drawing the thing there, not on book or not on computer. And I was just like, gosh, we're such a rich set of people. It's just that we're not seeing it. What's the digital approach to this? That this actually represents block-based programming, sequential coding activities. When you think about data literacy, traditional record keeping. When I was growing up, when I was in school, I used to have one of my exercise book. I'll put my pocket money in secondary school and how much I spent per week. Traditional record keeping. Seed-based sorting systems. That's data literacy. When you think about the digital approach, people are able to use Excel. People are able to use spreadsheets, digital data collection tools. People are using forms, Google Forms, Typeform. People are responding to surveys. Is this making sense? When you think about creativity and innovation, think about textile pattern variation. I love Ankara. If you want to buy me anything, buy me Ankara. I'm serious. I love African fabrics. Textile pattern variation. Improvisational storytelling. You can improvise. When I was small, they used to call me Forge because I would tell you one story to the other. My auntie used to call me Forge. I would be laughing. That students can think about the tortoise and the tortoise was always wise. He's always wise in all his stories. And a hot pot of jollof or whatever it is. And students can improvise. That's creativity. It's a key skill. Even for you, as you're preparing your lecture notes or planning for a semester or term, ask yourself, how can I improvise? How can I even weave in storytelling? How do these things fit in? Digital content creation. They're developing a pattern. When you think about content creation, for those who create content, you say, okay, carousel, quotes, single post, there are patterns, grid formats, there are patterns. There's what we call design thinking with apps. Before you think of anything, think about systems thinking. There's something called systems thinking as well. These are things that I want you to go back and read. Then there's collaboration and communication. So traditional consensus building. You've given them work. Or when you're even telling children to vote for their next school leader or school captain. Talking circle protocols. After you, the next person should talk. That's communication. That's a skill you're developing in them. So we have digital collaboration tools. There's Google Drive now. People are doing things in Google Sheets and Google Doc. They're online group projects. So map these things across. Let no child ever feel he's not equipped for work. Don't focus so much on rote learning, cramming. Go and regurgitate this. The change has to start with you. When you start preparing your next semester or next terms, whatever, ask yourself, have I put these things in place? Then adaptive thinking, weather response systems. Remember what happens when you look at, it's cloudy, it may rain. So what do? You immediately say, oh, I'm going to carry umbrella. That's adaptive thinking. Resource substitution methods. What's the digital approach? Thinking of iterative problem solving, repetition, technology troubleshooting. If I try something, it's not working. Or if it looks like this one will not work, then I'll move to the next one. Okay? Okay. So I want you to just reflect, and we don't have time for this activity, to identify your position on the technology integration spectrum. You can decide to use the 40 framework. You can use scale. Think of simple digital tools and then more advanced. So just take something indigenous in your in your environment. Okay? And this is it. And then consider how scale can actually affect implementation. Okay? The next thing is, what's the implementation roadmap? Begin where you are. Focus on one concept, build on that. If you're a biology teacher, I've been calling biology, I don't know, I don't miss it. Or maybe a technical, I don't know, intro tech teacher or integrated science teacher. When you're doing your lessons, ask yourself, what do I have? Focus on one concept. It can be, or skill, it can be computational thinking, it can be adaptive. And make sure that you see it through end to end for your students. Then test with a single lesson or activity. Do the same thing. Rejig it again. Okay? Then expand. Ask your students, the people who can give us feedback, they're your students. Ask them, how was this? How did you feel about it? Do you like the way I introduced this thing? Ah, yes, so I liked it though. You know, that time you were telling us to draw the heart or draw these plants. I'll be struggling with it. Then add new concepts or materials. Just keep layering. Keep layering. Once that thing works, share with your colleagues and exchange. You can try it. Try it on the WhatsApp group. You do this one today. Next week, you share it on the WhatsApp group and say, see what I did. Then the next thing is to build sustainably. Document your best practices. Embrace hybridity. So combine indigenous and digital. Create learning experiences that are seamless. Find a way to build bridge between the cultural knowledge and the new technologies that are coming. Okay? Let's look at some of the buzzing concepts in IT. This one is a bit in depth, but I want to just check in with you. How are you? How are you? Your comment section. The comment section will be very good to read. How are you? How are you feeling? Are you learning? Is this helpful? Are you going to be trying anything? Let me know. You're doing great. Good. Is this helpful? They're feeling Gen Z. Okay. Is this helpful? I want to know if this is helpful. Okay. 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 We'll go on. Quick. Just a few more minutes to go. Okay. Okay. So some of the buzzing concepts that we're hearing today, machine learning. When you think about machine learning, you've been doing tech before now. That's it. You just nailed it. You've been doing tech before now. You actually have. Your battery is draining. Oh, okay. So when we've been hearing things like machine learning, data classification. So what of the things that you can do? Someone is drawing on my screen. I'm not sure who. Please stop drawing on my screen. What are the things? Excuse me. What are the things that you can do? Take seeds or plants. I've told you about your beans and all of that. What are the connection points? Feature-based categorization, hierarchies. Hierarchies, taxonomies is a key aspect of AI. In fact, many big companies, data-driven companies, are looking for people who understand taxonomies, who understand the word ontology, hierarchy. You see, when you tell people to classify things into taxons, if you're a biology teacher, all those fungi, I don't know them, but you know all those things if you're here. Pattern recognition across variations, prediction based on observed characteristics. How can you implement this in your classroom? Create classification systems with natural materials. Then apply same principles to data categorization. Even when if you take, I've used beans before, I don't want to use that. When you tell people boys and girls line up, that's a classification. When you tell people to line up based on their height, that's another, that's hierarchical classification. But they need to understand what they are doing, not just because you're saying do it. Okay? Another one is machine learning. I'm sorry, another aspect of machine learning is looking at weather prediction. So pattern recognition from multiple inputs, predictive modeling. So what can you do? Document traditional weather prediction methods. We know that, when there's dry season, there's rainy season, there's harmattan, all those things. These things feed into machine learning prediction systems. Machine learning did not just come, we've been doing it since. We actually have. Generative AI, we're hearing a lot about this. I'm not going to explain all these concepts. Go and do the homework. Again, you're looking at building complex output from simple rules. You're looking at ChatGPT, for instance. That's generative AI. What you feed it is people are feeding it things, and then it's contextualizing that knowledge and giving you back, information. That's text pattern generation as well. So based on what you're feeding it, depending on how you train a model, that's what will come back. We have what we call large language models. Based on the input that you use to train it, that's what you get in return. Okay? So again, textile pattern generation. If, for instance, I decide to do tie and dye, and I tie them small, very small. I don't know whether I'm just remembering what I did when I was in school. Very small. The pattern will be small. Then some areas I'll tie it big. The pattern will be, or maybe use different colors. This is what we've been doing. Then when it comes to improvising storytelling, you're looking at creating new content from established frameworks. Okay, so new user inputs, looking at new forms of creativity with storytelling. So tell people to tell stories. Or you can ask, what is the tortoise always known for? They will say, he's very tricky. And this is what also feeds into generative AI. Okay, Then we have voice assistants and conversational AI. So you have your talking drums, Yoruba people like the talking drums, and then you have your call response systems. So you're looking at structured communication protocols, patterns of information exchange. Sometimes the talking goes dun, 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 dun. Then sometimes it will go up, it will go high. Those are voice assistants. Conversational AI, there's a pitch that goes up. Their confirmation mechanism, and you see people, they'll be really enjoying and all of that. They'll be dancing seriously at certain points. So these are call response patterns. We also have messenger systems, relay networks. So you have looking at modern voice assistant networks as well. So if there's somebody in your class, you say, whenever I go out, tell me those that have talked. That's a community messenger. Write me names of noisemakers. That's a community messenger. Class prefect. How is that feeding in? Those are conversational AI tools that we're seeing today. Okay. So let's look at technology integration for diverse learners. This one is very dear to my heart for people who work with students with special needs or who are parents of people with special needs. So one of the things I want you to think of is the different types of special needs. Okay? So for instance, those who are visually impaired, what can you do? We don't have the resources. Please stop drawing on my screen, please. You don't have the resources. You may not even have screen readers, but you can think of beaded patterns. We have beads, traditional beads. They can actually be used to teach coding through touch. Let me tell you something. My supervisor during my master's, completely blind, has never seen for one day. But there's no organization, like really relevant organization, that doesn't contact him for a special kind of AI work. In fact, his name is seen everywhere. So this is just to encourage people who work with special needs that your students can really amount to something. He's never seen. He's never seen. We have those who have hearing impairments. So there's traditional sign language, there's visual storytelling. They can't hear. All those acting, they actually form the environment for coding or the foundation for coding. Those with learning differences, for instance, you can use something like traditional drumming patterns. And we have a whole map and chart for this. Those with mobility challenges, the traditional circle formats. There's something called circle time, where all the students sit on the floor on a carpet for inclusive classroom arrangement. They never feel left out. So start to think, and I talked about this, segmenting your teaching, your lesson plan for your students. So let's look at some African-specific context consideration. If you're looking at community support systems, you see this thing we've been saying, it takes a village. Hey, it's actually important. We say it and we say sometimes we say carelessly, it takes a village to raise a child. This statement actually means that everybody is part of this technology training. Parent or brother, sister, all of them. And we can actually use them to relate to digital concepts. Then we have resource adaptations. For instance, calabash to amplify sounds for students with hearing impairments. And then we have cultural frameworks. Okay, the same thing. Using cultural narratives for diverse abilities. So just to reinforce, when you want to work, please look at this framework, try out, tailor, train, track. Think about your situational assessment. Think about your contextual adaptation. Think about access. Think about the learning-centered implementation, and then expandable growth pathways for your students. Okay? We have resources, a lot of resources to share. We have more training sessions coming up. So one of the things that I'm going to say is if you didn't sign up for this session and you're here, or you have colleagues who didn't sign up, they may not be able to attend the session again. But to make sure that you actually get the resources tailored for this specific session, please ask them to sign up, or please sign up. Evelyn, can you put that in the chat? We have different templates you can download. There's a WhatsApp community so that we have support, we can share ideas, follow-up workshop sessions, and then there's specialized training and coaching. So if, for instance, your school needs this type of training, or there are a group of teachers that need this type of training, and I really run through this very quickly, but we have more training sessions, you can call on us as well. I think you can also drop the admin email for that, Evelyn or Ima, drop the admin email so that they can send an email for that. So I will take your questions and yeah, any feedback. However, I also have, what do they call it? Something for you guys to think about, an exercise for you to go and work on later on after this session. So let me take your feedback and your questions. Feedback, questions, anything that you want me to explain a little more on. Everybody's quiet. Do you want us to call it a night? Or I can give an assignment. Can I give an assignment? Can I give an assignment? I can give an assignment. Okay. Okay. So I want you to start thinking about some of the things that you can, we've gone from the traditional resources that you can use. Now I want you to start thinking about some of the things that you can do without technology, without internet access. Yes, okay, yes. Okay, so first thing first, I want you to think about, and we're going to run this as a project for those who are interested. Can you actually get, you go and implement first, then you ask question. Okay, please, can you also put the WhatsApp link, because that's a good place to be, so that you can join the WhatsApp group. Okay, if you're interested, can we get your students to actually, can we get teachers, not students now? Yes, the assignment will be communicated as well. To develop calculator apps, for instance. You don't have, I'll answer that question, Daniel. I've just seen that. You don't have internet access. You don't have anything. How can you develop calculator apps? The second one I want you to think about is educational apps. There are different educational apps you can develop without technology. So what can we do? Productivity tools is another one. And we can work on this in groups. Productivity tools and even games apps as well, with the traditional resources that we have. Using the method I've taught you, the integration 40 and scale. Then another concept of learning while playing can be explored. That's another one. Data collection tools. That's a data collection app. Okay. So these are some of the apps that you can actually create. And they're, okay, that's okay. No, we're not talking about using Python programming now. That's a completely different session. We're talking about using the indigenous materials that we have at our disposal. Not everybody has access to or knows Python. Let's use the ones that we have, and we're going to continue to scale it up. And as we scale up, you also see that your teaching improves for your students as well. Okay? There's something else that sits in most African classes that people are not considering. Your brooms. Your broom is such a good resource that has been underestimated all these years. There's so much you can do with your broom and broomsticks. Okay, so think about what you can create with it. And I mean, you can body up in the WhatsApp group for that. How can I implement this into teaching mathematics to carry the crawlers along? That's such a good question. Okay, what do you mean implement this? Which of the this is are we talking about? One of the things I would say before you respond to the before you explain what the this is you need to segment your learners, put them into different groups. If you have a class of 30 students, if you don't know your learner, you cannot teach them. And it's not like you're saying, oh, this group is dull, whatever. When I mean know your learners, you know Michael. Michael is afraid of maths. What's that thing that you can use to teach him maths or division? You know Amina. Amina likes mental maths, but she doesn't like word problem maths. So you need to understand what each student, the ability of each student. Every student has an ability level. What are their abilities? If you don't understand that, then it will be difficult to teach, because you're not just teaching everybody. You need to segment your teaching. And this is why when you're developing your lesson plans, you need to make sure that the different types of learners and their different learning styles are covered. Yes, you can use counting materials. So this is a practical thing that we can do. How can I use Cox to develop abacus for calculation in my school? I like that one. When I was in Federal Girls in 1990, I think 99, I actually developed an abacus using bottle covers. And so it was, I think that we had to do like a screwing thing. Use, I can't remember, maybe like a screw, drill a hole in between. And you can even use cardboard for it. Okay. So you can use that. Uchechi, I'm still waiting for your question. So there's someone else that asked another question. Concept of question. The 4T and scale, is it like another method of lesson plan and not just for technology integration? You can apply the 4T and scale method or frameworks even when you're planning your lesson. They're actually technology integration frameworks that we have developed for TTT. However, in developing your lesson plans, you can actually use them as well. Okay, and I think I explained that. The indigenous to explain the international. Anything, start with very simple concepts. And you'll be so surprised that when you start with the simple concepts, even those, like, do it as a group activity, start with this very simple things, bottle covers, seeds, grains, all those things, the things that you have around you, start with those ones. And you can actually map it. You can say to them, you like playing computer? Or you like to play with your mom's phone? Do you know that before you can open it, this has to happen? Okay? Okay. Would the slides be available? No, we're not sharing our slides. No, we won't share them. Can technology be taught orally or theoretically rather than practically? I think this was Uchechi's question, and this should have been answered now. because you can talk about these things, but use the indigenous or local resources that we have to explain these things. So you don't have to have a computer in front of you, but you have the indigenous items, your local resources to explain this. I think that was Uchechi's question, and I believe this session has answered it now. Any other question? Let me know with your emojis how you found this session. We'll be calling it a day now, unless we have any more. No, using cocks and all is not for smaller kids. No, it's not. The thing we're trying to do is to reinforce that we've had technology all this while. And even explaining it to parents and explaining it to your school leaders as well. Okay? All of these things, machine learning, we've been doing them in Nigeria. It's just that we've not been able to map what we've been doing. So look out for the resource on all the activities or most of the activities that we've been doing back home and how this maps. And use that to explain, especially when you have like your parents' evening or parents' days, parents' teachers, something like that. Use that to explain what you've been doing and how this is really helping children. That you're not just teaching them to pass maths and English. You're not just teaching them to pass from primary 1 to 2 or give them double promotion. You're actually preparing them for the future of work. Okay, Eukarya, lovely to have you. So thank you, everyone. Please join the WhatsApp group. If you have any more questions, we can always continue answering them there. But I'm very aware that it's late. It's also late here. Have a good evening and have a really lovely week ahead. And I hope that you start implementing this as well. Okay, good night.